Hello, my name is Tyler Rodden, and tonight I'll be talking to you about how I see implementing blended learning within my classroom, all the issues and troubleshooting that would need to be done in order to do that, and definitely the community people that I would have to bring in order to help me with that process. So first of all, what are the issues? What would be the reasoning for even approaching a blended learning system within my classroom or within my school building? So as far as my classroom goes, I think the biggest issues that I see and the biggest reasons that, even before this class, I've always pictured myself wanting to approach this blended learning system and mentality is really a combination of these three issues that I've listed here. So first of all is retention of concepts. I think a lot of the time, the pace that you have to keep in order to accomplish the curriculum within a school year requires you to maybe not reinforce things as well as you want to. And you see, from year to year, even just within the same year, students not retaining the concepts. And again, I think part of that is just they aren't getting the repetition that they need with it. We aren't able to go back and review and reteach some things, based off of what the test scores and data may tell you. And, you just don't have the time for that. So the second one is time to teach the curriculum. So it's kind of linked with retention in a way. However, I look at this as, are you able to extend and enrich the curriculum? And again, there's no time for that. And so that's definitely something that I see the blended system allowing is to build in some more time to reach that enrichment and a little bit of enhancement of that curriculum. And then the third one is just motivation of students. Most students struggle with the traditional math classroom. They struggle to stay engaged. They struggle to ask questions. Lots of different things that lead to a lack of success. And so I see that blended learning system as a way to hopefully increase the motivation of all of the students, whether it be the high performing ones or the low performing ones or the ones right in the middle. Hopefully all of them see a boost with that. So looking at these three issues, I kind of said that this falls under problem number one from our blended book, and Horn, the professor, kind of listed problem one as this. It's looking to boost student achievement and quality of life through personalization. And so that's what I see happening with those three things is it really is. It's student achievement, and then I look at the motivation as being a big quality of life bullet point there. And it's going to happen through that ability to personalize the lessons. That's going to make time more efficient. That's going to allow you to get through more of the curriculum and be able to enhance and enrich a lot of that stuff. So what is my goal? We talked about a rallying cry. For me, my goal is this: retention, efficiency, and motivation. And if I can accomplish those three things, and if I can improve those three things within my classroom, then I think that would make a world of difference. So what kind of team do I need? There's kind of a few, four categories that these teams can encompass. I see really two scenarios. And, if we were looking at this as real life, then my scenario would be scenario one. I'm actually starting this year at a school that is already one-to-one. So in that scenario, if we already have the device in the student's hands, that's obviously a big hurdle. I see it as only requiring a lightweight team. I think that the blended learning system is not something a kid can do once a day, meaning in one of their 7 classes or however many courses they're taking. They can't just do it once a day and become accustomed to it and successful with it. I think it's something that, it's not that they have to see it in every single classroom that they're in, but I definitely think they need to be seeing it more than just once throughout the day so that they can become better with that system. So I looked at a lightweight team for that scenario. And then for scenario 2, this is, what it would have been for me last year in the school district that I'm coming from, is that the school is still transitioning or hasn't even really broached the topic of being one-to-one. And that, to me, obviously, the blended learning system in my mind is very, very difficult and very, very abridged when you don't have a device in every student's hands. At least a classroom set, but even then I think there's some hurdles even with having only a classroom set. It makes it tough. In scenario 2, though, I'm saying that's going to require a heavyweight team, so a little bit more emphasis there. And I'll talk about both of these teams and who I see being on those teams and why. So first of all, scenario 1, which required the lightweight team, here's who I foresee being on these teams. First of all, the department leaders. And as you can see in my second bullet point, I'm not necessarily talking about the department heads here. I think that you would want to find the right people in the departments. And you know, department heads are great. They're experienced. They understand leadership and how to bring people into a certain mentality. However, I think that some department heads are maybe those teachers who are stuck in what they've always done. And you're going to have to find people who are leaders within their department. And so that, you know, maybe some of those unspoken leaders, but people who are willing to adjust to change and people who are not scared of technology and the hurdles, you know, so to speak, the issues that even us teachers would have to overcome when working into this blended system. And then I also said you're building leadership and tech team. That's what we called it at the school I'm coming from, was a tech team. But people who are familiar with technology, people who are willing to investigate and take risks with technology, and I think you find those people on that tech team or whatever you might call it at your school or district. Now on the other side, scenario 2, say you don't have one-to-one, then I think it's a much bigger scale. I think now you're talking, again, you want some building leadership and tech team people on there. I think you do want the department heads here. You know, the department heads definitely have the principal's ear. The principal has the district's ear. And so I think you're going to have to go through that chain of command here. Then you need, obviously, the administration, at least your building principal, if not some of the associate principals as well. And then I think you're going to want some district level involvement there. Basically what you're looking at is you're going to have to create a one-to-one situation, whether that's a pilot for your building. And you know, if you're going to bring all this stuff to the table, then you're probably going to be the school to volunteer and pilot a one-to-one situation early on and kind of prove that that's what's going to help this school or this district is becoming one-to-one. So that's kind of what I see, a little bit more emphasis on the team there when you're looking at a one-to-one situation as well. So how do we fix the issues, the 3 issues, that combination that I brought up earlier? I think the first thing is you have to have proper technology, and so that's kind of where my initial thoughts in this presentation came from, is you got to be one-to-one. You know, I could say maybe at least a classroom set of devices, but again, to me, that's a risk there of can everything happen within the classroom and those students never need a device outside of the classroom, and that can be a hard plan for a teacher to figure that out. You obviously need a network that can handle the volume. I've been at a school that cannot handle the volume of even just a BYOD situation, and obviously that creates setbacks and students start to get frustrated there. And then your district would have to support you in access to programs and online curriculums. You obviously cannot create everything new, and you can't create everything yourself, and so you're going to need some help there from those online resources that schools often have. So what am I going to do within my classroom? Here, my vision is this. It's a combination of a flipped and station rotation model. I think the flipped part is great in the sense that I'm creating resources, videos specifically, for those students to do the lecture learning with and hopefully start to move away from standing up in front of the whole class and doing the teaching. But I think the station rotation, to me, in my mind, that's what blended learning is that we have students, you know, however they're identified, moving from station to station, making sure that they're getting their needs met, whatever that might be. And also, you know, if you're able to start doing this and able to start maybe having some more kids within a class or a classroom then maybe you can start to get some teachers or some paras or people within that classroom that can act as a team teacher or second or third teacher to be an even bigger facilitator and mentorship influence on that classroom. So station rotation in high school math, what is that going to look like? For me, obviously I've never done it before. This is all hypothetical. But, students must collaborate with their groups. That to me is huge. You have to be working with your group. The whole point rather of blended learning in my mind is to start to work away from reliance on the teacher and dependence on me as the teacher. And so collaborating with those group members is going to be huge. I would group the students according to ability level. And again, this is hypothetical. I don't know how this would work and if I'd have students transitioning from one group to the next, but I would definitely have them split up in a way that I could target my lowest kids and give them maybe a majority of my attention, maybe even that low to middle group, giving them a majority of my attention. The highest group, then, I want to give them more autonomy. Their independence is something that they're earning by being in that group. But then at the same time, there has to be a lot of work with me as far as enriching and enhancing what it is that they're doing. Because, to be honest, if they're the highest group, then they need to be going further than the other students are. And the groups, I'm just kind of thinking of the different stations. There could be a station with me, a station where they're watching videos on their devices or some device, activities within that device. Maybe it's a Desmos activity or something that's getting them thinking about the topic, whether before, during, or after the lesson that they've learned. A practice station, a spot where they're going, where they're seeing the immediate answers, or I'm able to be there and help them out, whatever the case may be. And then obviously a homework station where they feel comfortable with the material and they move on to the homework. Here are some references that I had. Obviously I included our textbook that we are using within this class, and then a couple different websites that gave me some great information as far as what experiences these people have personally had flipping their classroom and bringing in that blended model with station rotation. Thanks for listening.